I'm Teisha with Shalom TV's news update for Tuesday, December the 10th, 2013. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will return to Jerusalem and Ramallah this week, his second visit to the region in 2 weeks. U.S. State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki said in a statement yesterday that Kerry will arrive in Israel tomorrow and meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss a range of issues, including Iran and the ongoing final status negotiations with the Palestinians. And in Ramallah, he will meet with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, where he will also discuss the negotiations, among other issues. Kerry will then head to Vietnam and the Philippines. Yesterday, Kerry addressed the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee's 100th anniversary celebration in Washington, D.C., where Kerry reiterated that the U.S. is deeply committed to the security of Israel, saying it was fundamental to the U.S.'s own security. And he also reassured the audience that the U.S. would not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon. Regarding the peace talks with the Palestinians, Kerry said, "I believe, as President Obama does, that Israel will be far more secure if we can also put to test the possibilities of the two-state solution. And so we will continue to attempt to do that despite the skepticism, despite the cynicism in some quarters." The IDF announced that they are renewing their search for missing IDF soldier Guy Hever, who was last seen in August of 1997 near his base in the Golan Heights. The IDF said that Manpower Directorate Chief Major General Orna Barbivai decided to renew the search out of a hope to discover new findings that will shed light on the incident, saying the IDF has a moral duty to return every missing soldier to his family. Many efforts were made over the years to trace missing soldier Guy Hever. These efforts, the statement said, continue today and are focused on the investigation, the search, and the intelligence level. Hever's mother believes her son is alive and being held in Syria. Israeli Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein led the Israeli delegation at the mass memorial service held this morning in Johannesburg for former South African President Nelson Mandela, who passed away Thursday at the age of 95. The Israeli group, which flew to South Africa last night after both Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Peres were unable to attend, included the first female Ethiopian Knesset member, Peninnah Tamnu-Shata of the Yesh Atid party, as well as Ministers Dov Lipman of Yesh Atid, Nitzan Horowitz of the Meretz party, Gila Gamliel of Likud Beitenu, and Hilik Bar of the Labour Party. Before leaving for South Africa, Edelstein said that Mandela was a freedom fighter, but that more than that, he was a man that knew that you do not correct an injustice with another injustice, and violence with more violence. The Israeli delegation joined tens of thousands who gathered at the soccer stadium in Johannesburg to pay tribute to Mandela, including U.S. President Barack Obama and 3 former U.S. presidents, as well as the leaders of nearly 90 countries. Reuters reports that U.S. lawmakers proposed a defense bill yesterday that would raise spending on missile defense systems developed between the U.S. and Israel. Members of the U.S. House and Senate Armed Services Committee released details of the pared-down defense authorization bill for fiscal year 2014. The measure authorizes $173 million in added funding for U.S.-Israeli cooperative missile defense programs, including close to $34 million to improve the Arrow weapon system and over $117 million for the development of the David Sling short-range ballistic missile defense system, which is being developed jointly by Israel's state-owned Rafael Advanced Defense Systems and United States arms manufacturer Raytheon Company. The bill has to now go to Congress for a final vote, which the Armed Services Committee is urging takes place before Congress leaves for the year. A UN Watch video is reportedly going viral around the world. The UN Watch is a non-governmental organization based in Geneva whose mandate is to monitor the performance of the United Nations by, quote, the yardstick of its own charter. The video is of comments made and first reported on last month of a UN interpreter who thought her microphone was off, reacting to the General Assembly's adoption of 9 politically motivated resolutions condemning Israel and 0 resolutions on the rest of the world. The interpreter, thinking she was only speaking to her colleagues, is heard saying, "I think when you have like a total of 10 resolutions on Israel and Palestine, there's got to be something," saying it's a bit much, no?
I think when you have 5 statements, not 5, like a total of 10 resolutions on Israel and Palestine, there's got to be something. C'est un peu trop, non? I mean, I know it's yes, it's right, but it's not there's other really bad shit happening. Nobody says anything about the other stuff.
Realizing afterwards that her mic was on and her remarks broadcast to all the UN delegates in the room, she apologized.
Apologies.
Okay, I understand there was a problem with interpretation.
The interpreter apologies.
Hillel Neuer, executive director of UN Watch, said the UN is so busy targeting Israel that they simply can't find the time to address real human rights crises going on in the world, like in Syria, for example. UN Watch also said that if the interpreter ends up losing her job over the incident, they would hire her. And they're not the only ones. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who played the clip for his cabinet last month, also stated that a place of employment is assured to the interpreter in Israel, should she need it. Netanyahu said sometimes the veil of hypocrisy over the incessant attacks against us is ripped off, and this interpreter did that. The video at this point has over 282,000 views. The Jewish Daily Forward reports that Swarthmore College's Hillel Student Board voted unanimously Sunday to reject Hillel International's guidelines, which prohibit the group from hosting or partnering with groups deemed hostile towards Israel. This is the first time a Hillel center has said it would override the guidelines of the organization. Hillel International guidelines for campus Israel activities prohibits campus chapters from partnering with groups or hosting speakers who deny Israel's right to exist as a Jewish and democratic state, who delegitimize, demonize, or apply double standards to Israel, support boycott, divestment, and sanctions efforts against the country, or foster an atmosphere of incivility. The Swarthmore Hillel Student Board's resolution stated that these guidelines privilege only one perspective on Zionism and make others unwelcome. They said they declared themselves an open Hillel, aimed to encourage inclusivity and open discourse, and stated that they will host and partner with any speaker at the discretion of the board, regardless of Hillel International's Israel guidelines. The Jewish Week reports that Rabbi Angela Warnick-Buchdahl has been chosen to succeed Rabbi Peter Rubenstein as spiritual leader of New York City's Central Synagogue. The congregation's board made the announcement this past Thursday, and pending approval of the board's recommendation, at a January 7th membership meeting, Buchdahl would assume the pulpit on July the 1st, becoming the first woman to lead the 2100 Family Reform Congregation in its 174-year history. President of the Union for Reform Judaism, Rabbi Rick Jacobs, called Buchdahl, who is both a rabbi and a cantor, one of the most remarkable and inspiring religious leaders in our world, further saying that her multiple backgrounds can enhance our Jewish life in this contemporary world that we live in. Buchdahl was born in South Korea to an American Jewish father and Korean Buddhist mother. She grew up in Washington State and was raised Jewish. Buchdahl will join Jacobs in leading the Shabbat service at the movement's biennial meeting in San Diego, which begins tomorrow.
All of you here, devoted Zionists whose love of Israel...
And turning to our Shalom TV programming for tonight, Tuesday, December the 10th, highlights from the annual Zionist Organization of America dinner featuring ZOA President Mort Klein and Chairman of the American Israel Friendship League, Kenneth Bialkin, among many others. That's at 7:30. It is followed by L'chaim at 9, featuring Daily Beast political writer, the controversial Peter Beinart. That's here on Shalom TV and ShalomTV.com. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Tuesday, December the 10th, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader.